Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable Podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
John, I came across something interesting in the latest AARP magazine. They did a study on older Americans living alone, and we're not talking about a small group here. 36% of adults over the age of 50 are divorced, gray divorce. We talk about that here on the show. And about half of all women over 70 are widowed. But here's what was fascinating. When they asked solo retirees what the best part of living alone was, 35% said the freedom. 16% said independence. But when they asked about the worst part, 22% said feeling lonely. It's this paradox. People love the freedom, but they struggle with the loneliness. Do you see that show up in retirement planning?
Mark, very, very interesting way to start the show. I mean, the short answer is yes. And Mark, here's the thing. The loneliness piece, it isn't just emotional. It affects decision-making in ways people don't really expect.
How so?
Well, I mean, Mark, when you're married and you're making financial decisions, you've got someone to talk through it with. You know, your spouse asks questions, you catch each other's mistake, and then there's, the accountability piece. But when you're solo, especially when you're trying to maintain that independence and not burden your kids, you're making these decisions sometimes in isolation. And that's where things can go sideways. Mark, imagine you're a 70-year-old widow. Your husband really ran point on managing most of the finances when he was alive. At this point, hypothetically, you've got $650,000 saved, and you're trying to figure this out on your own. You're trying not to bother the kids. And there's another part. You're really proud that, you've been able to handle the finances to this point. So you start pulling money out. Maybe it's $4,000, $5,000 per month. Seems reasonable, right? But you're not adjusting for inflation. You're not accounting for healthcare costs that are rising every year, and you don't realize you're pulling out too much until 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Suddenly you're starting to see that $650,000 go south.
So by the time you recognize the problem, it could already be too late.
Exactly, my friend. And here's the thing. This person thinks they're doing fine. They're maintaining their independence, which is a great thing. They're not being a burden on the kids. But Mark, sometimes that independence is actually leading them straight toward a really, running out of money in their late 70s, early 80s. And now they've got 10 or 15 years left to live with significantly less money.
So what's the fix, or is there a way to correct that problem?
Mark, we talk about this all the time, and it simply boils down to setting up guarantees early in your retirement years. In this scenario, we take a portion of, that $650,000 and we use it to set up guaranteed lifetime income. I mean, let's say it was $3,800 or $4,000 a month. And what we do, we lock that in for life. Now they know the check is coming every single month, no matter what the market is doing, no matter what's happening with the healthcare costs. They are not going to outlive their money. Mark, we build healthcare reserves because they don't have a spouse's insurance to fall back on. We up their estate plan so the kids don't have to guess about what's going to happen when she passes away. And we become, the professional that they can call when they're confused or worried. Not a friend, not somebody in their bridge group who's trying to be helpful, not a child who's feeling obligated. They have the resources of a professional financial planner.
Let me give you that number real quick to reach out to John Scallan and the team at Cypress Financial. We're going to continue this conversation here, but it's 504-732-1001. Again, 504-732-1001, talking about how some adults are embracing solo retirement. This comes from AARP. And it's all about the professional guidance, John. What I'm hearing you saying is right. It's critical. That same study found that when solo retirees need help or guidance, 57% turn to friends, 38% turn to family, but only 18% get professional help. Where's the disconnect?
Mark, that's really the scary part of this whole situation, and I see it more often than I should. People retire solo and they don't want to bother anyone, so they're up at midnight Googling the 4% withdrawal rule. They're asking their neighbor who retired last year. They're making $250,000 decisions based on what they read in a magazine article. And look, friends and family, they really do mean well, but they can't tell you, when to claim Social Security. They can't help you navigate a $400,000 IRA rollover. They can't structure your estate so there's no biting in the family when you're gone.
According to this article, 82% of solo retirees are making huge decisions without guidance from a professional.
Mark, by the time some people realize they're pulling out too much money or they missed something critical, it's often too late. You've already burned through years of savings. I mean, Mark, just one more point. We have this comprehensive financial plan called the Retirement Analyzer. Mark, I describe it as a living, breathing document that we are engaged with in every planning meeting. We look at taxes, we look at healthcare, we look at inflation. This is a critical piece that really no one can give you but a professional planner, a professional financial advisor.
John, I'm kind of afraid to bring it up, but how does long-term care planning play into all of this?
Mark, that is just so huge. And I can tell you, it comes up every single time in our planning. I mean, look, when you're married, your spouse can help care for you, or vice versa if your health declines. When you're solo, you're hiring a professional care person from day one. That's expensive, and if you haven't planned for it, it can wipe out your savings very, very quickly. So we talk about long-term care coverage. We build cash reserves specifically for health care. We make sure someone has power of attorney if you can't manage your finances anymore. All of that has to be buttoned up ahead of time. Mark, if you call us, 504-732-1001. We will help you with these decisions and with these planning decisions that you need to make really more often than not.
For the solo retirees that we're talking to this weekend, be it widowed or a gray divorce, it feels like they may need more planning than couples do. But if this article is correct and if these statistics are right, they're the least likely to get professional help.
Mark, here's the ironic part about this whole conversation. The whole reason people love, or have enjoyed aging by themselves is freedom and independence. But you only keep that independence if you have a real plan. If you don't, you end up depending on your kids or running out of money. And Mark, to me, that's exactly the opposite of freedom.
John, let's talk about the adults listening right now, and they're heading into retirement solo. Divorce, widowed, never married. What should they do?
Listen, pick up the phone, 504-732-1001. You can find us at cypressfinancial.net. We can talk by phone. We can meet in person. We can talk by Zoom or Teams. But here's the point. Let's build a plan. Can you afford to retire when you want? Do you have guaranteed income for life? What happens if your health care declines? Who's making the decisions if you can't? Remember, the initial meetings are always complimentary. We'll walk through your situation side by side, identify the gaps, and build a plan designed for someone who's now flying solo. Because remember, the best part of flying solo while you're aging is freedom. But freedom without a plan becomes dependence. And Mark, no one wants to be in that situation.
Investment investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.